Okay, and welcome to this week's Link for Growth Southwest Hearts TV show. It's the Friday the 22nd of January. We hope that you've had a good week and that you enjoyed the show that we've got for you today. As usual, especially after last week's football special, we're back to a more normal show. But we've got Chris out, and he was complaining earlier, it looked like it was going to be raining, but it looks a lot sunnier now. So you're out and about in Kings Langley. Chris is out and about in Kings Langley talking about gardening, of all things. Tania has all the local news, including news on Watford Borough Councils freezing the council tax, and if you live in or go to school in Three Rivers council area and are aged between 11 and 19, you might be interested in the youth council session that's being run next week. Finally, as usual, Catherine has the news of several fundraising events for local charities and news of early registrations required for fundraising events. And as usual, Catherine has a local restaurant review. You can always get in touch with us via Twitter at SWHearts, that's at L4G SWHearts on Twitter. And yes, as I said, we have all the team here this week. So, Chris, you're in Kings Langley.
Yeah, hi, yeah, I'm in Kings Langley at the moment, yeah, so I'm looking at a rather splendid garden, to be honest. I'm out doing a spot of gardening, which is a real change because I live in a flat, and as you said, you live in a flat too, and you don't know whether actually I've got green fingers, but in a previous life, I was known as Chris Green Fingers Ogle, I have to tell you. But I'm going to be sharing with you what's happened to this garden because actually it looks amazing, and I was just getting a little bit of a rundown on it there, so I'm going to be all genned up, ready to share it with you when we're back on. How long will it be? About 5 minutes?
About 5 minutes, yes, because okay. You're on early because you're outside today, and I don't want you getting cold.
No, it's very warm. It's not very warm out here, but it's now sunny, which is great.
Good, yeah. And this. Tania, you're going to be talking about all the events that have happened in Southwest Hearts.
I am, Diane. Yeah, it's a big area and there's lots to cover. There's council tax stuff, there's bin collection stuff, there's a petition for cafe owners and a youth council opportunity too. So yeah, lots of great stuff going on.
Great. Hi Neal. After last week's football special, as it were, and review of the season with Kevin, it kind of went a bit wrong for Watford, didn't it? But there's going to be lots happening in the next week.
Yeah, it turned out to be a tough game, which I thought it would. But there's lots going on in the transfer news, and I'll have a report on Swansea game and update of what I think will happen tomorrow against Newcastle.
Yep, and you've also got water polo and rugby.
Yep, more local sport as well.
Yeah, fairly eclectic mix there. And Catherine, as it's January, the events that are happening are few and far between, it seems, but there's quite a lot of still quite a lot of pre-registration and bookings going on. And there's also a new nightclub in Watford.
Yes, this is true. Yes, all excitement in the town. New nightclub and a new shop that's been announced. It's going to be part of the new Charter Place development. I'll mention that later as well. But yeah, there's a few charity things going on. As you say, pre-registration for various events coming up for various local charities. So yes, and an interesting restaurant review, which isn't really a restaurant. So you'll have to find out where that is later on.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. And it's now it's Green Fingers to talk about the gardening in Tom's Lane. Chris, I live in a flat, you live in a flat, Tania lives on a boat, so Neal lives in a flat. The only one of us who's got a garden is Catherine, so...
Absolutely, not a gardening. Looking forward to this.
Although I live on a boat, I do have a garden, though.
Anyway, Chris. Hello, Chris. Hi, Chris.
Can you hear me?
You can, yes.
All right, I'm back. Yeah. So what? Are we on?
You are on, yes.
Okay. Well, let me put my Milena on the screen.
Milena.
So Milena on the screen, so you can see who I'm talking to, because you've seen enough of me. Right. Okay, so I'm here with Milena. You can see her there?
Hello!
So we are in this garden. Now, we're not in a very good vantage point at the moment, but let's just walk around a little bit. So this is the bit I'm showing you here. This house. It's a splendid garden. Look at that incredibly wide border there, which apparently has all been thinned out because it was kind of a whole eclectic, cluttered mix of eclectic things. So this lawn here you see in front of me, and the other side there, which is the border, this was all I just talked to the owners. Actually, they bought this house because they loved the garden, and this bit is like the traditional bit of the garden. It was all very nice over there, and the bit we're standing in here, which starts here by this lovely glass house, which you can see here, this bit here was completely wild and completely overgrown. And so walk us through then, Milena.
Okay, thank you. So this area, the client's specific requirements were encourage wildlife, and encourage wildlife. So that's one of the biggest points that we were involved in.
Yes.
They also needed hard standing because they want to be able to walk through the garden to enjoy all of it.
Okay.
So what we created a pathway that not only takes you up to the shed, to the seated arbour, but it allows you also to walk all the way through and back into the garden.
So you've got a little circuit here.
Absolutely.
And then there's this pool here. This pond.
Yeah, we built this pond so we can encourage more birds, more wildlife, and it really works. Within days of us installing water, we had dragonflies. So it's all you need, and a lot of birds come from the sound of water as well as the water itself.
Right.
So we've encouraged lots. We've got toads, frogs in here. We don't have any fish because we want wildlife. If you wanted fish, you're going to sacrifice wildlife.
Okay.
So this pond here is literally for wildlife. We've got another one down there that has pot fish.
Okay.
So in certain areas along the garden, we've encouraging more wildlife by putting small habitats for them to hide in, to have a little bit of protection, because what we want to do is we want to have certain areas that wildlife will go into. Rather than allowing them to go everywhere in the garden, we are making certain points to bring the wildlife in together, so they've got their own little accommodations in certain areas. Have you seen this?
You've got a frame here in the garden. Now, I'd say you've lost your picture.
They're really friendly with their neighbours,
Right.
and their neighbours talk over the fence, and they talk here, and it's like a television. And the neighbours love leaning on the picture frame,
Right.
and when the clients are sitting down on their seat, whether it's there or whether it's here,
Got some stones here, yeah.
they can actually talk to their neighbours.
Nice.
And we've always this garden hasn't finished. We've still got a lot more to do. We're going to put another frame in over there, not a picture frame, but an archway, which we're going to encourage roses and honeysuckle to grow in. So they've got a choice of where they can talk to.
And what's that then? That's like something dragon.
Yeah, it's just wired together, bound together, to give you the impression of, but it's all recycled.
Right, okay, brilliant.
So you've got that coming all the way through into the garden.
Yeah.
We've even recycled, his father had some very small terracotta pots
Yeah.
that, get rid of them, and it's, no, let's keep them into the garden, let's make them significant.
Yeah.
So we've included them in the wildlife area that we've included them, so he sees part of him in this. So it's the garden is for him as well as her. He's not totally interested in gardening or plants, but because he sees part of him, he feels involved in it. So it's not just her garden, it's his as well. You have to take both clients into consideration.
And how long have you worked on this?
A year.
A year.
Only a year. And we've actually brought a lot of plants because that side of the garden was so full. It allowed us to use some of those plants, a lot of those plants, and bring them into this side. So we filled their garden up on this side of the garden on very little. The only main things that we bought were the actual cypresses, the nice pencil cypress.
This one here.
And they give you like an Italian feeling when you're looking down there. What they didn't want to lose this view.
Yeah, because there's a whole park here, isn't there?
Yeah.
At the back here.
It's a nice private garden, actually.
Yeah.
It's not a park. It's somebody's garden.
Really?
Yeah. So
it's a heck of a garden.
it is, isn't it?
Are you serious? It's that garden?
Yeah. Yeah, it goes all the way along and it goes further down there.
So which house is that?
Here, next, not this one, the next door, but one. It's a dog's kennels.
Oh, okay, I saw that.
And they walk this.
Right.
But you're not. That's all they do. They use it just for walking the dog.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to lose this view, which is completely understandable. But I wanted to frame it so that they've got a point to look at.
Yeah.
So when you see these trees, these uprights, they're very structural.
Yeah.
And when you're looking from down there, it allows you to focus in on the view that they liked.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest points of building a garden for somebody is listening to what they want.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the difference.
Of course, about what
Oh, of
you're doing.
course. That helps.
Are you getting that? In the studio there?
The passion bit. Watch the steps. So also, when you're looking at the garden for where they're sitting, we've got some beautiful walls that give you movement. So you've got some nice view of something that's always there that gives you also, because it's moving in that direction, it allows you to look in that direction. So this is my garden, one of my gardens.
How many gardens do you look at?
About 30, 35. But obviously not all this size.
And do you actually tend them every week?
No,
Right.
no. I used to. I did that for 7 years. But now I have to not work so much in the gardens and in my business.
Yeah.
I have to work on my business. But that doesn't mean to say that I still don't inspect my gardens. They're very important to me. And I wouldn't want them to go wild. And with the team that I have, they know how high our standards are.
So how many times do you come here a week?
Once a week. Just once a week, and only for an hour.
Right.
So, but if it was my garden, I'd be in here 4 or 5 times. But practically wise, you can't charge people 4 or 5 hours work. You would want to do that, but what we do is we spend 2 people. We'll spend an hour in this garden once a week.
So what should people be doing in their garden this time of the year? Because it's pretty cold.
Not much to do.
Right.
It's not much to do. When you do get a nice dry day, one of the biggest things I would implore people is to rake their lawn. Rake. Well, what we want to do is, because it's been so mild, we get a lot of worm casts.
Right.
So little pellets of soil that come through the lawn and sit on top of the grass. And what happens is if you don't disturb that soil, it will kill the grass underneath. So the overall lawn will be weakened, but you need to strengthen. And what you need to do is you need to get a nice amount of grass seed per square inch. It's almost like your carpet. You want to have a nice thick carpet. That's going to stop the weeds coming through, try and prevent the moss from coming through. But if you're raking it, and I would like to say rake it once a fortnight, that wouldn't be a bad thing. You don't need to go to the gym that day. And so you're dispersing those soil pellets as such, and you're spreading them around. So if you see any that you've walked on, you really need to move that, spread it out, so that and also raking disturbs the soil base that the lawn is sitting on. So you're almost already stopping any weed seeds from taking hold.
There you go, Diane. Any questions from back at the ranch there?
No, not from me. As I said, from someone who lives in the flat, and
Is she saying take her hat off?
Because I don't, another great gardener. That all sounded really interesting. I just wonder what you can do because with the grass, and you've answered it because the grass around my block of flats is looking a bit waterlogged and soggy.
Yeah, and the grass here is really quite nice. Okay,
very
we've been walking on it a little bit today, so it's a bit muddy, but I'm sure there'll be a bit of raking going on. Right, so
I've got one question.
okay.
Can we do any pruning at this time of year? Can trees be pruned, fruit trees?
Okay, should there be any fruit tree pruning this time of year?
Yes, apple trees. Because we had such a warm time up until Christmas, it was too warm to prune them. Now we've had some frosts, they've gone back into being dormant where they should have been.
Right.
So now we can now prune them. Apple trees, we should be pruning. An apple tree should be almost like a rose in goblet, so it allows the air to circulate. That'll help prevent us getting woolly aphids, green fly, black fly, even some viruses. It strengthens the plant, and a virus will only go into a plant if it's already weakened. So we need to keep that plant nice and strong.
Okay, brilliant. Is that answer your question,
We do
Catherine?
need to prune roses as well.
Oh, roses as well. If you've got any roses, prune them.
Brilliant, will do. Thanks, Milena.
Thank you very much. Right, okay, we'll close off here now and get back to the studio, Diane, so enjoy the rest of the show.
Okay, thanks, Chris, and keep warm, and I'm glad it stopped raining for you.
Okay, thanks very much. Cheers.
Thanks for everyone. Bye.
How was
Okay.
that?
Okay, well, this week we've had quite a busy time for Southwest Hearts Link for Growth events. Starting last Saturday, Chris was at Barracuda, and then on Monday there was a Link for Coffee at Ocean Bells on Monday morning. Tuesday, Chris had another opportunity for more lemon drizzle cake. I think the guy just lives on it at the Kitchen Croxley whilst hosting an event down there. And finally, last night there was a link for drinks at Watford's Link for Drinks at Moon Under the Water. This event was well attended, with 14 of us sitting around the table at some point. People came and left the event. It's good to see that all three events were well attended, and that many of those attending were once again new to Link for Growth. So there's been a real uptake in people interested in Link for Growth since the new year. Tania, lots of local news. I suppose the biggest thing is that the council tax are proposing to freeze. Watford Council are proposing to freeze the council tax.
Well, I suppose whether you think it's a big thing or not, depending on where you live, Diane. But yes, it is a fairly big thing. Although they have been doing it now for 7 years, I think I read. So yeah, the council in Watford are now proposing on their meeting on the 27th of January to freeze the council tax bills again. The mayor is saying we've come through some very difficult times, but by being flexible and with our strong approach to partnership working, we've protected the service that we know you value. So she's saying. So of course this freeze is backed up by the council, by the government's grant. So we can keep our half of the funding, 48%, and the rest made up from government grants. So there you go. That's what they say.
And the county council, though, are actually going to put their rate up slightly. So the council taxpayers in Watford will see an increase, which is due to the county council and the police plebiscite rather than the borough council.
Well, there you go. It's all swings and roundabouts, Diane. It's all blooming swings and roundabouts.
Exactly. And there's been a petition launched to keep the cafe open during the restoration of Castleberry Park.
Now, I'm in two minds about this one, Diane, I have to say. So, Cha 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 Cafe, I absolutely adore it. As one of the Watford running sisters, it's a fantastic cafe to go to after we've had a run, and I know that there's walking groups that go there now. It really is a bit of a community hub. It's somewhere that I've really hoped wasn't going to be shut down, and I can absolutely see it's only being shut down for 5 months apparently. I can absolutely see the disadvantage of that happening to all of those people that are socialising in that area. And it does seem to me as if it would be, so the proposal is that there are changes to the doors, and there's changes to the loos, and there's changes to all sorts of different parts of Cha-Cha-Cha, alongside all of the restoration of Cassidy Park itself, which is including changes to the other area where there's a cafe down by the ponds and by the railway, down by the paddling pools in Cassidy Park too. So with changes going on down there and changes going on at Cha-Cha-Cha, actually the benefit of this is that people might actually go and find other coffee shops. So I know there's, I think it's called Raspberry or Rhubarb on the Cassidy estate. Of course there's Reason Coffee Shop at the top of the high street, and there's LP Cafe. All of our other independent coffee shops are other places that you can go for a coffee after your walking group or after your run or whatever it is that you're doing in Cassidy Park.
Okay. Talking of rebuilding things, demolishing things and stuff like that, there's a plan to demolish some shops and build some flats admitted up on Lord Street, which is, for those who don't know, just outside the Ring Road next to Queen's Road.
Yeah, I think this is the junction between Lord Street and Queen's Road, an area that I've been to quite a lot recently. There's a school down there that I've been working with. So it's a nice corner spot, and the proposal is to demolish a couple of shops, and I don't know how those shopkeepers feel about this, but build 24 flats on that corner. So it's, as I say, the corner of Queen's Road and Lord Street. They're not proposing to put any parking in there. I don't know if maybe they're expecting people to use the public transport, because it will have great public transport links. But there you go. It's a proposal that's currently being considered by Watford Borough Council. If you have a comment or a voice to share about this, then Watford Borough Council is the place to go. Give them a call, send in your comments on their website.
Okay. The other thing is the council have kind of won an award for funding an animation film. Rather, the film won an award, and it's all about the big events that happen from time to time. We feature in the programme.
Yeah, Diane, this is absolutely great news. The big events in Watford are really, really something that personally I really value. And one of the things that I missed last year, they were projecting this film, at the time it was called Homeward Bound, on to Jackson's, the jewellers, brilliant jewellers in the centre of High Street, another independent business in the centre of the High Street, in a beautiful building. So they were projecting this digital illuminations project as part of the big event last January, so just over a year ago. And that film was later developed into a short film, which sounds fantastic to me. The evening her mind jumped out of her head, which I mean, just brilliant. Apparently the writers had this idea that somebody would be sat on a tube train or a train that was forced to stop by a stray cow, and at that point the woman's mind jumped out of her head. Presumably went on a bit of an imaginative journey. So this film, that was called The Evening Her Mind Jumped Out of Her Head, won this weekend the Encounters Award for Best Animated Short Film, alongside a host of other animators that got other awards too. It was presented by the Institute for Contemporary Arts in Pall Mall, London, on Sunday, and of course the filmmakers were absolutely delighted. I actually saw them interviewed on camera. I can't remember whether that was on Facebook or on the BBC, but really, really delighted to hear that this film, developed by local filmmakers, has had such a fantastic reception, not only here in this country, but it's been travelled all over the world to all sorts of different parts of the world. So fantastic reception all over the world for this brilliant film. Brazil, France and Germany. Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember seeing this film either, and I'm in the town centre quite a lot in the evening for various things as well. So obviously it was something that skipped us all by, and perhaps with who knows, they might repeat the film showing because it's been so successful in the awards.
Yeah, I don't remember it being advertised, but I know that I couldn't make it on the nights that it was on, so I missed it.
Okay. Now we talked about this a little bit last week about telling us what living in a conservation area means to you, and the deadline is coming up fast, isn't it?
That's right. So on Tuesday the 26th of January, so this is next Tuesday, you can chat to councillors over a cup of tea at the town hall about protecting your area, your development concerns and any other ways that you might be affected by living in a conservation area. The councillors will be there from 5:30 till 7:30, and if you can't make that, there is an online survey which got to be responded to by the 27th of January. So if you live in the conservation area and you want to have your say, then there's 2 opportunities there to do so.
Yeah. Now, Three Rivers Council are discussing charging for council waste again, and they've got a meeting coming up on the 25th, which is Monday, isn't it?
Yes. So yeah, you're absolutely right. This event looks as if it's going to be quite a busy meeting to go along to. There's lots of things to discuss. Monday the 25th of January at 7:30 in Three Rivers House in Rickmansworth. Lots of interesting things on the agenda there, including beacon lighting to commemorate the Queen's 90th birthday, and building control project plans, review of garage rents and the South Oxley initiative. But the item that you're highlighting is one that we've talked about here before, and it's the council's idea that they're going to start charging for garden waste in the Three Rivers district. Now there's a really in-depth paper that runs to many pages on the website that you can download, all of the ins and outs of what they've considered and the research that they've done to see whether it's appropriate to charge for this waste. This paper goes to 24 pages, much of which is analysis and ideas about whether to charge for the waste or not. But the up and be all and end all of it is that they're recommending that they're going to charge for the collection of garden waste from this year in the 16-17 budget, and if I remember rightly, they're going to be charging 40 quid, I think, which is more than it costs for the collection service, but includes an element for administration as well. Now, the paperwork is there. It's up to all of us to decide what we think individually. But if you want to say something about it, if you don't want to be charged for your bin, or if you do want to be charged for your bin, if you think it's a good idea or a bad idea, there's your opportunity again to have your say at that meeting on Tuesday night, Monday night, whichever night it was.
25th.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, the 25th of January.
Yeah, and as you say, this has been going on for quite a time, this debate, and I know that it's also tied in with other debates they're having in the area about charging for car parking and all the rest of it. I think it just reflects the issues that a lot of district councils are facing with government cuts. Where can we find money and how and maintain services?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they've got to find cuts somewhere because it doesn't all come from government, but whether it's good value to do this or not, who knows? And there are clearly ways that if you think it's going to work, that you could help the council by keeping the cost down. For example, by paying, according to this paper, by direct debit, so that they don't have to chase you for it, which will increase the costs even further.
Yeah, it's always a difficult decision, that. Anyway, talking of councils and new initiatives and new things like that, Watford Borough Council, that is, have finally developed a new website. So I think the three of us are going to talk about this for a moment or two, because as people may or may not know, both Catherine and I are what used to be called commercial artists in the old days, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that for a moment. This is what the new site is looking like, and please, please feel free to pitch in with your comments, either one of you or both of you.
I think it's got a good fresh look about it now, hasn't it? It sort of dragged itself into the 21st century a bit.
Yeah, yes, it has. I mean, I think it's quite clean compared to the previous site. I think that the layout and typography is much cleaner. I think that's it's good the way it's clear typeface. It hasn't got those funny tiny little navigation buttons that you used to have at the bottom. It's got quite a large, clear kind of A to Z of council services down the bottom here.
Yeah.
The navigation works very well, because when I'm collecting information for the show, for example, before it used to be quite difficult to find out what was happening, and now it is.
Yes, it seems to be a lot more user-friendly generally, doesn't it? And I think with the use of white space around some of it, it's made it a lot clearer, a lot easier to actually navigate around. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. What are your views, Tania?
Well, it looked all right to me, Diane. I thought it was fairly easy to find the things that I might want to find. It's a website that made it easier for me to connect, I suppose. There you go. Well done, whoever designed it.
Well, it was about time, because it needed doing quite badly, I think. But I do think it's a vast improvement. Okay, so we've talked about that. Now, back to Three Rivers, the Youth Council. Now, this is something that we hear about youth parliaments and stuff like that, and now the idea seems to be coming down to council level.
And what a great idea it is, getting young people involved in deciding what their local area ought to be like to live in. Fantastic idea. So the Youth Council in the Three Rivers area is for young people aged 11 to 19 who live or go to school in the Three Rivers district. A great opportunity for young people to have their say and make a difference in their local community. They say that the meetings are friendly and relaxed, and new faces are always welcome. And the next meeting is on the 2nd of February, so it's just a couple of weeks away, from 5:30 till 7. So on the 2nd of February, from 5:30 till 7, anyone who lives or goes to school in the Three Rivers area, aged between 11 and 19, can go along to this meeting. And it looks like the agenda looks quite useful as well. Youth Connections are going to be talking about the Prevent campaign, which we've heard a bit about on the news recently, which is including tips for young people to improve their personal resilience. It's one thing that I'm absolutely keen to encourage. Personal resilience in relation to being a member of society is a really key skill for us to learn. And if Youth Connections are going to talk about it there, then I think actually for young people that would be a really good thing to go along and listen to.
Yeah.
It can help people to avoid extremism and pressure from the media, which we're always hearing about magazines and websites which are encouraging people to have body dysmorphia and all of that sort of thing. So that sort of thing is something that you're likely to hear a little bit about, which would be really good to help develop that awareness.
Yeah. And of course, the reason we're mentioning it this week, of course, is because they've got a grant of £1,000 to disperse. That's Three Rivers Council, and it's got applications have got to be in by Friday, the 29th of January, ready for members of the Youth Council to discuss at the meeting on the 2nd.
That's right. And if anyone is doing anything for young people in the area, local charities and clubs can apply for part of that £1,000 or all of it, presumably, to be used for that purpose, to helping young people in that area to live a healthier, happier life. If they want to apply, then yes, they've got to apply for this by the 29th.
Yeah. Okay. We talked about disposing of waste earlier on, and garden waste and stuff like that. And there's apparently now some new technology that allows residents in Three Rivers to dispose of their food waste in plastic bags, which sounds slightly contradictory.
It does to me as well, actually. So yes, they've got this new technology in place. What I'm guessing is that in spite of lots of education that it's best not to put plastic bags in your food waste disposal, I bet there's been quite a lot of resistance to that. I bet people have been saying, yeah, but it's going to be a bit pongy and it's going to go all slimy, and then I'm going to have to clean out my little waste bin and all of that sort of thing, which can be really quite distasteful, let's put it that way. So people have been reluctant, I guess, and it is just a guess, to put all of their food waste into their little bins so that the council can take it away separately. But the benefits of doing it that way are massive. Anyway, to get over this problem, the council provider for this waste recycling has redesigned their process so that residents can put their waste into their bins with plastic bags, and the new machine, the new process, will remove the plastic and still recycle the food. Recycling it is such a good thing to do. So they've got an anaerobic digestion plant where the waste food is turned into fertilizer, which produces enough gas to generate enough power to power over 4,500 homes. That's just brilliant. And of course, the waste food also goes to produce fertilizer too. Really, really brilliant. But we do use too much plastic. So if you can use something that's degradable, biodegradable, or starch liners, or newspaper, or something like that, please use that instead of the plastic. But, you know, we understand your point, says the council, and we've redesigned the process so that we can take into account those plastic bags.
I mean, it just shows you how much energy can be produced from so little. You know, if one council can do 4,500 homes, and it's a fairly small council, you just imagine what the whole country could do if it put its mind to it, and there were the resources in place.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Diane. Bring down the cost of electricity massively, and also help us to proof ourselves from rises in diesel costs and fuel costs. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Now we've talked about the by-election in North Bushy for the county council seat there, and we finally have a result.
We do. This lady has a very lovely haircut. I noticed earlier on her page, and her name is Jane. She's Jane Ann West, who held the seat for the Tories with 881 votes. I have to say, she got an awful lot more votes than the other candidates, more than double, in fact nearly 3 times as many votes as the Lib Dem councillor who came in second and Labour councillor who came in third. The UKIP councillor came in with 176 votes in 4th place. So clearly it was her haircut that did it. No, stop being silly, Tan. It's not her haircut. Clearly she's got a very large majority for that area.
Yeah. And finally, it's Holocaust Memorial Day.
Yeah. A really powerful reminder of the horrors that were done out in Germany. Having been to Auschwitz and seen the horrible things that were done there in the name of nationalism. Holocaust Memorial Day details. Wednesday, the 27th of January, the Mayor of Herts will lead an event which will bring a parade from the council car park in Manor Road, Potters Bar, along Darks Lane, carrying candlelit lanterns. The parade will end at the Wilots Theatre, where the ceremony will take place. It will include a 2-minute silence, speeches from the Mayor and the Leader of the Council, videos, stories and musical performances. The parade starts at 6 p.m. Everyone's welcome to join and to follow the parade or to watch from any point on the route along Darks Lane to the theatre. There are still some spaces available if anyone wants to take part in the parade and the ceremony, or the ceremony. Call the Mayor's Secretary if you want to do that. But a really important recollection of what horrors man can do to man, and hopefully something that we can avoid in the future if we remember and respect.
Hear, hear. Well, thanks for that, Tania. Lots of absolutely fascinating news and issues there, and some of which I think we'll be going back to later on, like the energy recycling and things like that, and maybe the youth council. So thank you very much for all of your news this week. Neil, last week we had a great discussion with Kevin Affleck on Watford's positive season to date. Then they're going to lose on Monday when playing Swansea. I mean, what is it? Why?
Well, the players, they just look incredibly tired. The effort they've been putting on all season is obviously taking its toll now, and the 4 games over Christmas where we were playing big names and the players were working their socks off. But now their legs just look gone, to tell the truth. In the first half, it was very poor. Second half, they picked it up a bit. But players that you associate with really strong, like energetic games like Niom and like Capu, they had really, really poor games. They didn't look at the races at all, almost as if they didn't want to be on the pitch, which is most unlike them, to tell the truth.
So, I mean, doing some research for this show, there are people like Merson and Phil Thompson on Sky are now saying, oh, maybe Watford are the team that are going to get relegated.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. A few games don't make a bad team. It was unfortunate that it was so lacklustre at the weekend, because we only lost 1-0, and we did look better in the second half, as if we could have got something out of the game. But the goal we gave away was just a poor defending, and we won't do that all season for the rest of the season. And the manager and the owners are looking to bring in new players to freshen up the squad as well. They've realised they've been relying too heavily on a small number of players, and they're looking at strengthening.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a bit later on. But Craig Cathcart, for example, who we talked about last week, a little bit is saying that Watford haven't become a bad team overnight. You would agree with that? You think it's just not so much physical tiredness, but perhaps mental tiredness, because of the games have been so quick and fast.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. I think it is physical tiredness as well, but you do wonder sometimes whether players like a trip down to rainy Wales on a Monday night to play, whether they're up for it when they're earning so much money. It always crosses my mind, do they really want to be on the pitch? You would hope, being professionals, they do. But yeah, Cathcart's right. You don't become a bad team overnight. I expect a better performance tomorrow against Newcastle. We're favourites for the game, and rightly so, I'd still say. But they've made a couple of good signings in the January window. So, being Watford fans, I guess there's going to be a lot of nervous people at the ground. But I would still say we're good enough.
Yeah. Okay. So, we'll talk about the transfer news then. Watford have signed quite a few players. It's 2/3 of the way through the season, but it's not the players that perhaps people were expecting. So they've signed someone called Nordin Ambrat.
Amrabat, yeah. He's come from Malaga in Spain, and all reports from people who watch him is he's a very strong player, fast. He can play either wing and can even stand in for the front two. So he's a great cover player. And although I wouldn't expect him to get straight into the squad at match day team, because that's not Sanchez Flores' way, I would expect him to at least be in the match day squad. Because if we're looking like we're lacking energy, that's the sort of player we need to bring on. And it's something what would have been lacking. We have been lacking wingers, and teams have been going at three at the back against Igalo and Dini, and having a winger would release some pressure off those two players and bring them into the game a little bit more.
And they also made a second signing this week with a reserve goalkeeper from Sunderland, a guy called Costello Pantilimon. Yeah.
Pantilimon, yeah. This was an unexpected one that came out of the blue, really. It just only popped up in the news last week. He was first team choice at Sunderland right up to pre-Christmas, where he had one shocker and all of a sudden didn't get back in the team. Great cover, and needed as well, because Alauskis, our current reserve team keeper, looked incredibly nervous when he came on, and any time Gomez had an injury, the camera went to him and he looked petrified. So team and the manager obviously lost confidence in him. So yeah, he'll be a replacement for him, and I expect to see Alauskis shipped out as soon as possible, really, even though we only signed him in the summer. So it's a shame for him that he's not managed to cut it in the Premier League, but he'll go elsewhere and have another go at it, I guess.
Okay. So who's left? Connor Smith has departed, and Lloyd Dyer is looking to depart, apparently.
Yeah, Connor Smith. He played quite a few games for the lads in the Championship.
What time do you make it? About 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
5 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Just before. Sorry, I'm just doing something. Yeah, Connor Smith played quite a few games, but he was never a first team choice, even when we were in the Championship. So I fully understand him having his contract cancelled. So it's good for him to be able to go on and go elsewhere and see what he can do elsewhere. And as for Dyer, he's a funny one. He came in with a real attitude about being good enough to be in the team. He should be a Premiership player, and with a real seemed to be an attitude problem. And he was one of the people who seemed to disrupt the dressing room. He was named in the matchday squad this season just because we needed his numbers to make up the homegrown players. We've got him on fairly long contract, so we're going to have to somehow come to terms with paying up his contract. Hopefully that means someone else will come in and buy him fairly quickly. Otherwise we're just going to be lumbered with his wages for years.
So he's not the answer then to the winger problem you were talking about earlier, because he is a winger, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely not the answer. He's I'd say in the twilight of his career, and my own opinion is a good Championship player, but no, he's certainly not going to be the answer to our winger problems.
Okay. And another forgotten man is Fabrini, who's currently on loan at Middlesbrough, I understand, but Birmingham want to sign him.
Yeah, so I'd actually forgot he was still a Watford player, to tell the truth. I forgot he'd been out on loan. He was out on loan last season to Birmingham, and he started this season at Middlesbrough and started really well and was in favour, but the cold weather came and he didn't seem to fancy it very much on the rainy days up in Middlesbrough, and hasn't played for quite some time. But Birmingham seemed like they're biting our hands off to try to get him back, because they didn't want the loan period to end in the first place. They wanted to renew it. It was Fabrini who pushed for a move up to Middlesbrough, thinking they were a better team. So he'll get a gig in the Championship, and I'm sure he'll do well for Birmingham.
Okay. Finally, let's speculate. I mean, like all these punters do on the sports channels. Who's going to join? Apparently, Watford are trying out a new, well, the headline is high risk for the next Ordin Igalu. there's another Nigerian striker on trial.
Yeah, I doubt very much he's going to be the next Tagalu. He couldn't get in the Dundee squad, and he was sold by an Irish team. But with the right coaching, you never know. Our scouts have obviously seen something in him that they think they might be able to work with. If we do sign him, this will be a player to build and improve for the future. He won't be a player to get into the squad.
Okay.
And the others, there's some interesting ones because a couple of weeks ago, everyone thought Andrew Townsend was going to become a Watford player, the winger from Spurs, and he all of a sudden we signed a winger, so that seemed out of the window. But now Sanchez Flores has said no, we're still looking for another winger, so that's all back on now. We're not the only team chasing him, so it's not guaranteed. But yeah, it'd be good to have two very fast wingers in the squad. And all of a sudden, having said we weren't going to go for Mario Suarez from Fiorentina because it seems he was asking for a 5-year contract, which for a 29-year-old is a long time to have a player at a club when they're 29 on big wages. And clubs gone bust before doing that if they get relegated. So the team and the owners were reluctant to do that, but it seems this short run of bad form may have changed their minds and they may be willing to punt the money on him. Whether it will be a 5-year contract, I'm not sure, but it's a position we need cover for because those players in the centre do look extremely tired.
Yeah. So do you think that will actually happen? I mean, what's your kind of intuition on this one?
It's a difficult one. If we can persuade him to get down to a 3-year contract, even on big money, it'll happen. And he says he wants to play in the Premiership. Flores likes him. We're going through a bad patch, and we need covering midfield. I think it will happen.
Okay. Well, the other thing is that Watford, although they might be going through a bad patch, they are still top of the table, the injury league table.
Yeah, very few injuries this season, which has done us a huge favour because the last few times we've gone up, we've lost key players when we've gone into the top flight and gone down partly because of that. I'm not sure if it's just a lucky thing that we haven't had any injuries or whether it's down to the training regime and we apparently have got an extremely good physio department and medical department, and other teams are struggling much more than us. So I would say it's a fact that our facilities are really good and we're training right, but there has to be a lot of luck involved in that stat as well.
Oh, okay. Right. Now we briefly talked about this again with Kevin Affleck last week about how Troy Deeney turned up to watch Joel Ekstrand return from a long-term injury, and Deeney's been talking about him again this week. Yeah,
it seems like there's some of the players want him back in the squad. It seems like he was a popular player. It's definitely a position we need extra covering, and Belkalem, who's in the squad at the moment, he's been on the bench a couple of times when we needed cover, but Ekstrand I would presume would get above him in the pecking order. So I expect to see him back in the squad, and that'll make Troy Deeney very happy.
Great. And as I said, tomorrow we've got Watford, we've got Newcastle. The bookies are saying it's going to be probably a narrow Watford win. As I alluded to, some of the punters are saying that Watford are going to lose and may even be on the slippery slope down to the relegation zone. Interesting one, isn't it?
It is, and it's going to need the fans to get behind the team. They've had a little bit of a bad trot, a little bit of bad luck with a couple of Christmas results. The fans, the 1881 club, need to really get behind the team from the start tomorrow, not be flat. Because it was a dull game in the FA Cup a few weeks ago against Newcastle, and if the fans don't get on the team side, if their confidence is a little bit low, the worst could happen. But with two very poor performances behind them, I'm sure people have got a point to prove. So I'm still going for a win for Watford.
Okay, and there's more information on the ticket sales for the Nottingham Forest FA Cup game next week.
Yeah, the early bird season ticket prices have gone now, but they're still fairly cheap. £15 for an adult, £10 for a child, or £5 for an under 12-year-old. Coaches up there are costing £15, and we've already sold 2,200 tickets, so 2,000 left. It would be really good to take that many up to Nottingham Forest for a cup game. That create an amazing atmosphere. And it's a bargain really for you this day and age to pay that much for a game of football.
Okay, that's great. And very briefly, finally, on Watford, before we come to other sports news, the game with Leicester City has been moved for Sky Sports.
Yep, as is the whim of Sky Sports to change everyone's fixtures whenever they want, and the teams and fans just have to accommodate them, unfortunately. Watford have been put on a 5:30 on the Saturday game on March the 5th at home to Leicester. Not too much of a change for us, but a bit of a pain for Leicester fans trying to get back up to the Midlands several hours later than they would have hoped to.
Okay, that's great. Kings Langley, now they won last week, first time at home match for about a month.
Yeah, convincing win, 3-1 against Bedford. They were ahead of them in the league, so it was expected. And now they're only a couple of points off that playoff position again, as they've been doing all season, up and down. And they are not looking at the table, according to Paul Hughes, their boss. He said he's not worried about the table right now. They're just concentrating on their football. There's too many games left to worry about that. 16 games left. I think that's a bit of manager talk. I can tell you now, all players look at the table several times a week and have all the calculations going in their head. But tomorrow they are playing Arsley Town away. They're 10 places ahead of them in the league, so they'll be hoping for another win. And you never know with results. If results go their way, they could be back off in those playoff positions.
I mean, I remember when we talked to Martin at the beginning of the season. He said, "Oh, yeah, they'll do okay, but they won't do that well." From what Martin's saying, or said at the time, it sounds as if they're actually doing better than predicted.
Yeah, I guess that was purely because they got promoted and they were such a small club. But they had an amazing season last year and romped the league, walked away with it, and they took that confidence up to play much, much bigger teams. And they're getting a lot of really good results. So, yeah, they're definitely performing better than expectations of, I guess, the general public. But the manager at the beginning of the season, give him credit, he said he was going for promotion, and they're giving it a go.
Well, that's good. That's good. Rugby Union, Valerians again had a really good second half performance in their victory over Harpenden.
Yeah, they started sluggish against Harpenden and in the first half and were trailing at half time, but manager says, their coach, Rich Hoskin, said they had the best second half so far of the season, and they ended up romping it 29-12. So now they're only a point off top place. Playing well and on a winning run, so they'll hope that continues.
Yep, and also forming a ladies rugby team during the summer.
Yep, so the ladies rugby's are just about to start their pre-season training. There's no exact dates yet, but anyone who wants details and is interested in getting involved in ladies rugby, either at junior or senior level, just email girls@valerians.co.uk and you'll get all the details how you can join in and how you can find more out about ladies rugby.
Okay, that's great. I won't be taking that offer up, but I'm sure others will. Water polo. We've talked about Watford water polo team doing really well, and they had another win to keep their promotion hopes alive.
Yeah, so they needed 4 out of 4, and now it's 3 out of 3 they need. So it's the dream's still alive, as it was. A little old Watford water polo could get into the big league, big time. Yeah, the manager's still confident. He says they're going to do it. So I love it. I love having that much confidence.
Okay. Finally, if you'd rather be watching someone move a ball around the green table, Ronnie O'Sullivan's coming to Watford again.
Yeah, so Legends Snooker coming to Watford Coliseum. So if snooker's your thing, I haven't watched it for a long time myself, but I used to really enjoy it. This is it's a great lineup. So Ronnie O'Sullivan's the big pull, 5 times world champion, and just coming off the back of winning the Masters. he's going to be partnering John Parrott, who's a favourite and a pundit these days. And they're going to face Tony Dragon and Cliff Thorburn, a good old Cliff Thorburn, the Canadian from the 80s. And the other 4 taking part are Jimmy White, Tony Knowles, Ryan Everson, and Joe Johnson. So lots of classic names there. When Ronnie is the current bigwig, and I guess he's in there just to sell the tickets because they say it's a legend. He is a legend, I guess. But when you see that, you normally expect it to be some of the older players. But he's a legend in his own lifetime, as they say.
So, how do you hold these tickets?
These tickets, good point. It's the Watford Coliseum box office. Yeah, you can give them a call on 01923 571102, or the box office is open normal office hours, so you can just walk in. I've got one little bit more of news before you go away. Tomorrow, the park run in Casbury Park they are celebrating their 50th park run. So if anyone doesn't know about the park runs, it's a 5k run that starts at 9 AM. Get to the park about 8:45 if you want to do it, and they're asking everyone to turn up in red t-shirts because it's a red t-shirt they give away when you complete 50 park runs. So they want to, I guess it looks good for the PR pictures. The park runs have been a huge movement and encouraging lots of people to get out and get fit, and I hope it carries on for a very long time. Or, not that I like training on a Saturday morning personally, but I know a lot of people like the park runs.
Yes, yeah, it is very popular. It always seems to be a good crowd out there when.
Yeah, they 300. They had 2 weeks ago. 300 people. So that's really good.
Oh, that's fabulous. That really is fabulous. Well, thank you for all of that, Neil. The Watford game you're going to, I take it?
Yeah, I'll be there. Not as confident as I normally am, but I'll be there.
Well, good luck, and I hope they respond to your cheering.
Okay, cheers.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Neil. Catherine, a new nightclub is opening up in Watford, so it's kind of a new place to boogie.
Absolutely, yeah. I should be boogieing on. No, I won't. I won't be going. But lots of people do. Possibly more for the younger generation. I don't know. Or those younger at heart. Yeah, we've got a new nightclub called Hideout, which should be opening its doors next Friday. If you have a look on their website, which is just Hideout Watford, you'll find it easily. They've also got a live Facebook page as well. They've got various offers on at the moment. You can win a VIP table in there. They've got a launch party happening next week. They've got a student party happening on the 23rd of January as well. That's tomorrow, actually. And they're also hiring staff. So that's something to bear in mind as well. But yeah, they're going to have 3 themed rooms, which will hold up to 1,200 people. So we're talking quite a big premises. Now this is on the corner in Watford High Street where Cameo used to be. And I'm sure all you nightclub goers will know exactly where I mean. I think it's the one actually isn't it next to Twisted Monkey, up that end of town. Just in the parade where the market is. So yeah, sounds like a bit of an asset to nightclub part of the town, and I'm sure it'd be very popular.
Yeah, because the area used to be in the same building.
Ah, right, okay, yes. I say that little quarter there seems to be very much, the sort of nightlife clubs and bars around there. But yeah, it's all happening.
Okay, and there's a fast food chain, American fast food burger chain coming to Watford.
Yes, we've had GBK, we've had Bill's. This is Five Guys. They're an American chain, started in America, but they're very popular over here as well. I mean, we've seen them in London. I haven't seen them in other areas, but I'm sure they are popping up all over the place. But yes, they've submitted an application to move into 58 High Street. So it's sort of early days at the moment, but watch this space sort of thing. This is a building where Cape Hassa are at the moment. They're closing down tomorrow. I haven't done a restaurant review from Cape Hassa. If I had, you would know my views on it. But I shall keep that to myself because they're closing. It's not fair. But yeah, this sounds like an interesting one. They specialise in hand-formed burgers cooked to perfection on a grill with fresh cut fries in pure peanut oil. So peanut oil is something to bear in mind if you have allergies. But yeah, it sounds like a bit of an asset to that little corner as well. Something that's going to liven up the whole restaurant quarter around there is developing into quite a scene. You've got the nightclub scene at one end of the town, and then restaurants and whatever down the other end. Obviously, soon we're going to have the new development of Charter Place, which is just over the way from where this building is. And we've also heard this week that in the new Charter Place there's going to be a Debenhams. So a lot of people are very happy about that too.
Yeah, and I remember when we talking of burger bars, Charter Place has got 2 new ones signed up as well. So
who are they? Do we know?
Yeah, yes, I can't remember off the top of my head now because I haven't had time to do that piece of research. But I do remember we talked about this last year in September time, I think it was. And I'm just wondering how many more burger bars Watford needs. Some variety.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's nice when they do other things as well, and certainly the is it Meat and Shake is the other one that's next to GBK down the way a little bit, and they actually do some nice meat dishes, chicken dishes, and things like that as well. So as long as it's not just burgers, and there's a bit of a range there to choose from. Maybe we won't be overloaded.
Yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it.
It would also be really nice to have more independent restaurants around rather than all of these blooming chains.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. It's attracting them and offering them affordable rates and things in the high street. It's the rates and actually being able to have a building, open a building, run a shop in the high street. It's become a very expensive affair, I think, hasn't it?
That's right, and I think the council needs to pay much more attention to the fact that so much more of the revenues stay in the local community if we've got local businesses there, rather than we've seen the Taxman series on BBC Two this week, rather than taking it all to offshore accounts and things.
Yeah,
but restaurants have a high percentage failure. It's one of the highest percentage failures of companies in the UK, and I think that's the reason why independents are becoming less and less unless they can find a really strong niche that they can operate in.
Yes, true. It's a struggle, isn't it, to not just open something but keep it going. Yeah.
But which is why I think we're seeing fewer and fewer independent restaurants. But shame.
So the independents that we have around, we need to support.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Dig them out, go often.
Now, if we've been to all these restaurants, we'll need to do some running.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Watford Half Marathon, that's what we all ought to be doing. Well, some of us ought to be doing anyway. This is going to be on the 7th of February. This is in Canterbury Park, and this is sponsored by Watford Harriers. The race is going to be run over the same course that was used last year, which was especially designed to avoid some of the flooding that happened the year before. So those who are familiar with it, you'll know the route. Race numbers with chips will be collected from the registration desk on the day, so it's all going to be monitored in a very professional way. Water stations along the way, the route will be marshalled. Don't wear your headphones so you can hear what's going on. But yeah, all the details are online so you can register. There's going to be a secure baggage drop-off, which is always something that's quite essential. Traffic-free course. As I say, it starts and finishes in Canterbury Park. It's on the 7th of February. Get your registration in. For an unaffiliated entry, it's £24. Affiliated entry is £22. As I say, all the details are online. Register now.
Yeah, it's been put on by Watford Harriers Athletic Club, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Now, we've done a lot of talking about some of the events that the hospices are putting on, and Herts Ambulance have updated their website now, so we can tell people about some of their events. Starting with the casino night in February.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I've got a number of things, interesting things coming up as well. Something a little bit different. So if you don't fancy running and fancy a bit of a night on the tables instead, they're doing a casino night, Heart of Hearts Casino Night. This is going to be on Friday, the 12th of February. It's going to be at the Fairway Tavern in Welwyn Garden City. It's £25 per person. There's a phone number here. I'll post this up online afterwards that you can book a place by calling. So it's on Friday, the 12th of February in Welwyn Garden City. The night kicks off with a reception at 7 o'clock, followed by a 2-course dinner and disco. And then, of course, it's heading to the tables to win some fabulous prizes. It sounds like a really fun evening. There's lots of prizes up for grabs, £50 restaurant voucher, a photo picture to the value of £500, which it sounds absolutely fabulous. And, of course, you're raising money for Herts Air Ambulance, which is an essential service that needs our support. So I'll post those details up.
And if you want to raise £100 in 24 hours, you can do it. They have a new challenge for people.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, 24-100. So you've got to raise £100 in 24 hours, and you can do it however you like. They've got some suggestions online. You can hold a raffle or tombola, do a cheese and wine evening, virtual challenges in the gym. There's a whole number of things you could do. Pub quiz, that sounds ideal. But this is on, well, it's running from, sorry, it's my phone. This is running from Saturday the 5th to Sunday the 6th of March, raising money for Herts Air Ambulance, which is in desperate need of funds. They're a charity-supported organisation. I don't think they actually receive any official funding from any official sources, so it's all charity-run. So, yeah, that's another great one to get involved in.
Yeah, it's not cheap to run a helicopter, is it? Some of the figures on their website are quite astounding for...
Yeah. Staggering amounts of money they need to keep going, just to keep going, let alone buy new equipment and train new people. So, yeah.
Yep. And they're also running something called the Gauntlet Games.
Yeah, another interesting one. Saturday the 16th of April in Ware. The Gauntlet Games is a hilarious, fun obstacle course. It looks quite messy to me, according to the picture that I've got in front of me here. But you've got to successfully complete the challenge, run either 5 or 10K, passing through a series of zones manned by gladiators. If anybody remembers the, I think it was late 80s or 90s series on TV of gladiators, I expect people will be poking you with large cotton bud sticks. Which, if that's your thing, then yeah, sign up for that. Registration deadline for that is Tuesday the 12th of April, so you've got bags of time to register. So all the details are online, so I'll post that link up as well. But that's a fun one to get involved in.
Briefly, we're mentioning it because we have mentioned it before, but the Michael Sobel Hospice, their Ladies' Night, their early bird bookings end in 9 days' time.
Yes, that's right. You need to get your registration in for this one. 9 days, 8 hours. In fact, it was the time that was on the screen when I downloaded this. But yeah, it's a special event where all supporters can come together, walk through the night en masse to raise vital funds for the local hospice. This is the Michael Sobel Hospice. Ladies in the night. So last year's event was the biggest and most successful they'd had so far, and they raised an incredible £126,000 with over 1,100 walkers taking part. So they're doing the same thing again. Entry fee includes a T-shirt, a sponsor form, information booklet, and breakfast on the day. The event starts and finishes at the Michael Sobel Hospice in Northwood. The walk takes place on its well-lit roads, ample marshals in place. So a bit like the it's the breast cancer walk that goes through Watford, isn't it? Or is it for the Peace Hospital? I can't remember now. But all very well organised, fun, entertainment going on through the night as well. Walk starts at 10 o'clock in the evening. You can choose to walk either 5.5 or 9 miles. All under 16s must be accompanied by an adult. Entrance must be 11 years of age or over, but dogs are welcome too, so that's fine. Don't think there's an age restriction on the dogs, so that's fine. And parking is free on the night. So they're looking to raise lots of money with that. Yeah, great thing to get involved in. Again, I'll post the details up. Easy to register online.
Yeah, and they're also looking for people to run on their behalf at the 2016 Hillingdon Half Marathon.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. It's a half marathon and a 10K. I think you can probably choose which to run. Entry for the half marathon is £23 for unaffiliated. Affiliated is 21. The 10K is 15 and 30. Yeah, again, this sounds like a fabulous thing if you're into fitness. Fancy a bit of a run round, earning some money for a fabulous charity. That desperately need funds. This is on Easter Monday, 28th of March. Starts at 9 o'clock, and it's at. I'm going to tell you where it's at. The route for the race takes place mainly within the grounds of Brunel University in Uxbridge. So actually, fabulous sights along the way as well. Yeah, great. Minimum age is 17 for that one. So just something to bear in mind. Fabulous.
And Michael Green Foundation, I know that you're looking for runners to join a 10K run that you're doing or hoping to do later in the year.
Yes, this is the British 10K, which I believe is on the, she said looking at her calendar, this is on the 10th of July coming up. We need 12 runners. I think we've got 2 so far. If anybody fancies running 10K, we're asking for a minimum sponsorship of £150. All the money will go towards raising awareness of type 2 diabetes and to Watford General Hospital Diabetes Unit. So yeah, if you're feeling fit and able and 10K is your thing, let me know or contact us through the website, which is michaelgreenfoundation.org. It's a fabulous day out. We're always there supporting it. We've had a debenture for the 10K for the last 2 years, and it's a great family fun day out. So yeah, let me know if you're interested.
And this is a run around London, isn't it? And it's around some of the famous sites. You have start and finish in Parliament Square.
Yes, it's it starts it goes through Parliament Square, finishes on the Mall, and it starts just the other side of that, so it comes around in a sort of circular route. But yeah, it's taking in all the iconic sites of London, and actually there's a crowd that just like the London Marathon, the crowd lines the route as you go along as well. So get lots of cheers from particularly as you're passing places in Parliament Square, Big Ben, and all the way around there where the crowds are really 10-15 deep. It's a fab day out.
Yeah. And this time next week you'll be getting ready for the Michael Green Foundation Yellow Comedy Evening at the Watford Museum.
Yes, yeah, this is great. This is all put together by Andrew Carberry, who's one of the promoters of Yellow Comedy. It's actually going to be emceed on the night by Michael Hill, who's the other co-promoter of Yellow Comedy Club. Yeah, it should be a great night. It's free to get in, but they do shake a bucket on the way out. But all proceeds, all donations on the night were going to Michael Green Foundation. We're going to do a raffle as well, and have a bit of fun in between the acts as well. We've got, who have we got on as headliner? Sandra Hale, who's just won Yellow Comedy Queen of Herts 2015 competition, which was just a few weeks ago. She's one of the best comics in Hertfordshire, so it should be a fab night. The second half of the show will be Andrew's comedy lineup, The Bosun's Delight, and they'll be entertaining us with some of their comedy sketches. So it should be a fab night. This is for teens only. It's at Watford Museum next Friday evening. Doors open 7:30. Comedy starts at 8.
And Yellow Comedy are going to be very busy with the charity gigs because they're also doing one for Watford Women's Centre.
Yeah, another fun thing, and anyone who's been to Yellow Comedy will know that actually it's just a little bit different every time you go, depending on who the acts are. There's a fabulous lineup on the 8th of March. And this is going to be at Attico Arts Centre in Watford High Street, and this is a ticketed event, isn't it? I believe the tickets can be found on Eventbrite. They're £6 plus the Eventbrite commissions. That's £7.52, or £6 in person from the Market Street offices of the Watford Women's Centre. All money going to the Women's Centre, of course. So this is on the 8th of March. It's an all-female lineup. They're celebrating, it's Watford Women's Day, is it?
It's International Women's Day.
International Women's Day celebration. So, supporting a women's organisation with an all-female lineup, headlined by Yuriko Kotani. Is that someone you've seen, Diane?
Yes, I've seen. She's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely, you can see why she won the BBC Radio 2 Young Comedian of the Year award.
Yes, just last year, wasn't it? Yeah, fabulous. So she's headlining. We've got Sian Doherty, Sandra Hale again, Kate Jones, Claire Nelson, Fiona Ridgewell, and Natasha Smith. Fabulous lineup, emceed by Andrew Carberry again. And thank you very much to Andrew and Michael for putting these events together. It really does make a difference.
Yeah, it really does, and it's great. It's great working with them. So many thanks for that, Catherine. At the end, as usual, you're going to be back with a restaurant review or some other review.
Yes.
I'm going to quickly whiz through this because time is pressing. The next bit is what's happening for Link for Growth this week. Tomorrow, Chris is going to be in Barracuda, which is the cafe next to the market entrance on the High Street side. As usual, Chris will be there between 10 and 11:30. So if you want to know more about Link for Growth, Watford Community Kickstarter Initiative, any questions along those sorts of lines, Chris will be there to answer your questions. On Monday, we've got a Link for Coffee at Cafe Loco, which is on the Station Parade at Moore Park Station between 10 and 11:30. And there, the carrot cake is very good, I'm told. So Chris will be having carrot cake there, I'm sure, instead of lemon drizzle. And on Monday evening, we're going to be holding a second coffee event, and that's at Reason between 5:30 and 7 or 8. Depending on how many people turn up. Again, it's usually a very well attended event. We get lots of people coming in on the way home, coming in for a chat and finding out more about Link for Growth and taking it, working out if they're going to participate and how they can participate, which is absolutely fabulous. Then on Tuesday, Chris is going to be at the Regis Building in Rickmansworth for another coffee event between 10 and 11:30. And finally this week, Link for Growth Central Hearts are holding their first coffee event of the year at a beach restaurant in St Peter's Street in St Albans, again between 10 and 11:30. This is usually a really good event. It's an event that quite a few people from South West Hearts also go to because you're starting to meet and network with people outside of the immediate local community. So it's and usually some very interesting people turning up to that particular event. So, Catherine, which restaurant are you reviewing today?
Well, it's an interesting one. Very quickly, just before I do that, I'm just going to mention very, very quickly, because it was announced by Watford Coliseum today, that the Proclaimers are coming to Watford. If you're a fan of folk music, Scottish folk music, or if you're a fan of the film Sunshine on Leith, which our daughter is, it's been playing continuously for weeks, get your tickets to the Proclaimers. It's in May, but tickets are selling fast. There was priority membership sales on today, but it goes on general sale tomorrow. So if you fancy that in May, go along to Watford Coliseum. Okay, so restaurant, not exactly, but this is the Big Munch, which is a stall in Watford Market. They've got a trailer cabin there, and I've been seeing a lot about. I haven't actually been there, but I know people who have, and they say the things that they're serving there are absolutely delicious. They basically do sweet and savoury crepes. So anything you fancy in a crepe, they will do, basically. I've seen a lot of their tweets this week, which have all been about feeling the winter blues or feeling chilly. Come and have a hot crepe. So you can have Hungarian sausage, ham, cheddar and red onion, all stuffed into a hot crepe. You can have that for lunch. Come pudding time, you can have marshmallows, Nutella, other chocolate spreads are available, and dark chocolate. Or you can wash that all down with a freshly made milkshake as well, which you can have sprinkles and marshmallows and chocolate sauce over the top as well. They do a whole variety of fillings, all freshly prepared, all made on site. They also offer a 10% discount for students, which I think is a fabulous thing to do. They're often sort of posting on Facebook and Twitter about special offers and special ingredients that they're using on that particular day. So go along to the Big Munch, Watford High Street. You'll find them just by the flyover where all the food stands are, and go and say hello to them. They look like a very friendly bunch.
Okay, well, thank you for that. On that scrumptious note, It's time to say cheerio and thank you for watching the show this week. I hope that you found it interesting. If you want to get in touch and find out more about Link for Growth or have ideas of who Chris can come and interview, then or you want to promote your community group or something like that, then please get in touch with us through @Link4Growth Twitter account. That's @L4G Herts, which you can see below me. And we say thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Speak soon.